Hi, I'm John, and these are Goku and Gohan Grandista figures. I have these two here together really because I saw some people on Twitter do a head swap and putting Gohan into a Kamehameha pose. In fact, let's go do that. Yoink, yoink, and let's put them back together. No, stop. The video isn't over yet. Besides, if you look in the back of Gohan's head, there's a lot we can do to his neck and make it more seamless. But anyway, let's try Goku. Well, that doesn't fit. I guess I'll have to make some modifications. While I'm at it, why don't I make Goku into his Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken form from Dragon Ball Super? As of today, I'm at a little bit over 48,000 subscribers, and I want to give away this custom figure to a random commenter of this video when I hit 50,000. So make sure you leave a like, comment, and hit subscribe for a chance to win. Alrighty, let's get started. Like we saw before, this Goku head isn't fitting on this neck, so I'll have to shave it down. I started cutting with a regular X-Acto knife, but it just wasn't cutting it. So I found this hot knife to make things a little bit easier. After a little bit of learning, it cut through everything like butter. And I was able to get Goku's head to fit. But because of the way Goku's head was positioned on the original figure, there is a gap between his hair and his neck, so time to pull out the putty. Once I filled in the gaps to make sure the head stayed on stable, I slowly added details to the spikes to make it match the original hair sculpt as best as I could. Then I sanded it down to make sure it had a smooth finish. Alrighty, it's prime time. At first I primed everything in white per usual, but because Goku is going to be lit from below from his aura, I wanted to try something a little different. I re-primed his gi in black from the top, as that's where the shadows would come from. And then aimed my airbrush with some white primer from the bottom of his clothes to catch where the light would hit, sort of like a flashlight. I also did the same thing to his hair, except I used gray instead of black. For his skin, I took the opposite approach and used red pointed from above to use as a shadow. Then I added a blending base coat to the entire figure. By the way, everything I'm using in this video is linked in the description. For my airbrush and airbrush paint, I'm using Gallery and Kaleido colors, and you can use my discount code to get 10% off your purchase both on Amazon and their website. So check it out. I think my base coats were a little bit too opaque and not thinned out enough, so the shadow tones didn't really come through as much as I thought. So I used various whites, reds, and purples all pointed from the bottom of the figure to give it a little bit of extra highlights. Moving on to the finer details, I started by re-priming his eyes in white. Then I painted in the outlines of his eyes. I painted in his pupils with emerald, and his eyebrows with the same Kaleido airbrush paints I used earlier. And then I cleaned up all of my line work and added a twinkle in his eyes using some white. Then I used some pink brown panel liners around his eyes and ears to give them a little extra emphasis. I also hand painted in the lines and soles of his boots. I thought I was done at this point, so I was putting it together to make sure everything looked okay, but I thought that everything still looked a little flat. So I brought out the dry brushes to add a little extra highlight, making sure the brushes hit all the hard folds and edges for some extra emphasis. Once I was satisfied with the red Kaioken aura, I did another layer of highlights using some white to help emulate the brightness of the Super Saiyan Blue aura. Then I added a matte clear coat to the entire figure to protect the paint. All that was left to do was to put him back together. Oh, one more thing. Goku's gi in Dragon Ball Super has his symbols on it, and I didn't paint them in because
ain't nobody got time for that.
So I took this opportunity to try some printable water decals. After letting them soak for a bit, I applied them to the figure. I had some issues applying the symbol to the back of the shirt because of all the shirt folds, so some of the ink came off. So once I got it into position, I made a few touch-ups to finally finish the figure.
Kaioken!
Time.